Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an absolute of a bombshell poll update from, believe it or not, Quinnipiac. And they've come out and they've got Donald Trump +6 in the state of Georgia. Ouch. That's going to hurt Kamala Harris's Real Clear Politics aggregate average, isn't it? +6. And then +2 in North Carolina as well. The reason North Carolina is so key is because the last poll that Quinnipiac did, they had Harris +3. Now Trump's +2. That's a 5-point swing in the span of less than a month. But Quinnipiac, the all-important state of Georgia, Trump is sitting +6. That's outside of the margin. Ow. If you're Kamala Harris, man, there's got to be some worrying going on in that campaign headquarters. A +6 from Quinnipiac. You want to talk about helping the average on Real Clear Politics, a +6 and then a +2 going from a -3 because North Carolina was Harris +3 according to Quinnipiac in early September. This is the liberal pollster Quinnipiac, and now they've had a rebirthing, and this is amazing news here. I mean, they've adjusted their numbers a little bit. They're getting a little bit better in terms of the polling. They are. Quinnipiac they're slowly starting to get better because these are more accurate numbers now. With Trump being up by 6 in Georgia, maybe in a little overestimation of Trump there in Georgia, but he's still probably going to win it by 4. Great numbers there in that state. You've also got, I figured I would talk about this for a few minutes, so I am going to be reacting live to the vice presidential debate, Walz against Vance, that's happening tonight. I will start my stream at 8 o'clock. The debate happens at 9 o'clock. I think it's an hour and a half, 9 o'clock Eastern, that is. And I think everyone pretty much assumes that Vance is going to do very well in this debate. I saw MSNBC. They were prepping everyone, saying that, oh, let's take it easy on Walz. We should tone down what we think. They're basically saying Walz is going to lose. And now it's come out that Kamala Harris, after she picked Walz, was having trouble sleeping. She was having nightmares. She was losing it. And apparently, I think what's going to happen 2 months after Kamala loses the election to Trump, she's probably going to come out and blame Walz and say that she wanted Shapiro. And we know the dynamics behind all of that, not picking Shapiro because of Israel-Palestine, that conflict, his thoughts on it, and the variables within the Democratic Party and all the far leftist people in Michigan, and that's why Shapiro wasn't picked. But this is big stuff. In this debate tonight, I think we all think Vance is going to do very well. He's had so many more public appearances. He's been on so many more networks. I mean, like 50 overall interviews and press conferences. When you combined it, Walz is at like 2. They've hid Walz, and this should be very good. And I do expect Vance to potentially bring up stuff that Walz is not debate prepped for. He's a very it just seems like, and Walz, he did say to Kamala that he was bad at debates. It seems like if Vance is able to bring something up that Walz wasn't ready for, Walz will self-destruct. And you'll see like a real nervousness and maybe like a pause on stage, and you'll get that viral moment, but it's got to be something that Walz did not prep for. I don't know if he'll bring up anything with the communist Chinese, with what's going on with the House Republicans looking into that. Or maybe it's something none of us have heard of because Walz is like a newer comer onto the scene, the VP. Obviously, you had the Minneapolis riots. What happened with those? And I'm sure liberals are going to try and paint this as, oh, Vance is just this elitist, this Ivy League racist who talks really good. And Walz is more of the, he was born in a small town, and he relates to people more, the middle class, the Midwestern folk. They're going to try and swing it like that. It's not necessarily going to be like, oh, Walz won the debate. They're not going to say that, but they're going to say he's more relatable. It's probably, I would imagine that's what they're going to try and do when it comes to swinging the VP debate. But I do expect, and I think everyone expects Vance to do very well in this debate. This will be his first big moment, obviously. Really both of the first, for both of these candidates, their first big moment when it comes to the VP position there. North Carolina mail-in ballot requests today versus 2020. So I wanted to highlight this because this is a shift of 19 points. Now, we knew the dynamic when it comes to mail-in requests in 2024. They were going to be more Republican heavy. There were going to be less liberals doing the mail-in because pretty much they all did it in 2020. They were very scared of the pandemic. Trump told Republican voters to go out to the polls and don't do the mail-ins. Now he's embraced them more. So there's no way for me to really compare this to another thing. We're just kind of going at this blind, if you will, because it's not like there was the pandemic around in 2016 and we could compare 2016 to 2020. And then the difference between 2020 and 2024, we can't do that. But I still think these are really good numbers. I mean, a 19-point shift for mail-in requests in a swing state, that's very bullish news for Trump. Again, we can't really compare it to anything. We're kind of going at it blind because we knew the dynamics were going to be different. There's different variables this election with more Republicans coming out or doing the mail-in because Trump says to vote any way you can, and Democrats doing more day of because they were so scared of the pandemic in 2020. But still, you would figure like a 10-point shift, maybe a 12-point, a 19-point shift. And of course, this could get closer as we get closer to the election, but still right now it looks very good in North Carolina. These numbers, though, I don't want to say they're completely meaningless. It's good to be ahead like this in terms of the mail-in requests versus where you were in 2020. But there's no way to say, oh, the Republicans are definitely up, by X amount right now. It's just, these is just data that we really can't compare to anything because we never had a crazy pandemic in 2016. We had one in 2020 and now we don't in 2024. So the variable is not there. So it's not going to be an apples to apples comparison versus 2020. It's going to be a little bit different because of the different circumstances, but it is still good numbers there. You do have Florida Republicans again. These are the new voter registration numbers gaining. It looks like, what is that, around 24K voters over Democrats and then a bunch of people registering likely as independents. But Republicans keep gaining in Florida. And I think right now, I did see Rasmussen release a new Florida poll that had Trump up by 8. And I think that's very accurate. A few days ago, I said Trump was going to win Florida by around 7.8. And I think that's a lower number based on DeSantis winning it by 20 and Rubio winning it by 16. Florida, Republicans have like a plus 1 million, 1.2 million voter registration advantage. I mean, it is crazy what's happened in that state. And you'll still get liberal polls. It is funny that have... Harris down by 2, Harris down by 3. I think Florida, they've given it up completely, though. I mean, even the most liberal people don't even talk about Florida being a swing state. And if they do, it's just because they're pissed off. Their electoral math is a lot different without the state of Florida. But I think Trump's going to win Florida, obviously, very easily. Absolute minimum, 6.5, 7 points. But I think it's probably going to be more when it comes to that. You can see the difference when you look at this Quinnipiac poll. Harris plus 3. This was on the 8th of September. And now on October 1st, Trump is sitting plus 2. That is a change of 5 points. It's pretty remarkable when it comes to that. And then there's this. I wanted to react to this so you can see me laughing at this yesterday. But this is something called Fatherland. It is a Broadway play that's based off of January 6th. And this is like a true story of a son turning his own father in because his father was part of January 6th and the government was looking for, people involved with January 6th. And so his son is like in an argument with his father and that's the son right there. So I'm just going to play this. It's just so funny. I think the father at the beginning, when he's walking in, he says, "Yeppers." I think that's what he says.
Down everyone who was there. You know that's right. You know that.
Yeppers.
Videos and cell phones.
Government's closing in.
Wasn't that, bad?
The earring.
How can you not care?
Because I didn't break any laws. Tell me the law I broke.
You smashed through police barricades and you overtook the United States Capitol.
I didn't break any laws.
You carried your weapon on the federal grounds.
Okay.
You overtook the United
States
Capitol.
On federal grounds that we own, that American citizens own.
Paying taxes gives you no right.
Said I pay taxes.
What?
I had every constitutional right to carry a weapon and to take over Congress. Just because a law is written does not mean it's the right law.
And then he storms
out. They scurried away like rats and hid. That is how you do it.
That was a scene from the new off-Broadway.
You know that.
Yeppers.
Right, you know that.
Yeppers.
Videos and cell phones.
The sun.
Government's closing in.
Wasn't that, bad?
I don't care.
How can you not care?
Because I didn't break any laws. Tell me the law I broke.
You smashed through police barricades and you overtook the United States Capitol.
And the son's like trying to turn him in. And then he gets physical with him at the end. I was watching that. But this is the Rasmussen poll I was talking about. Trump sitting plus 8. I think that's a very accurate poll. And that was the poll over like a month and a half. Yeah, that's going to be what it is around. Because I've been seeing all these Florida polls like plus 3, plus 4. There's no way. You've gotten, this is a crazy thing. So this is the national, this is a pollster that just came out with a Harris plus 4 national popular vote poll. And then that same pollster talks about the issues. You can see the illegal immigrants, Trump plus 14, economy, Trump plus 12. You would figure there would be a bigger difference in terms of the immigration versus the economy. It would be like Trump plus 20 in terms of immigration and then maybe plus 10 in terms of economy. Republicans do have a nice advantage from everything that I see. When they pull voter issues, Trump leads in economy by like 10 to 15 points. It is pretty impressive. National security, Trump plus 10. Taxes, spending, Trump plus 8. That's pretty typical with the partisan shift. And then the independents going for Trump, so Trump's plus 8. Inflation, Trump plus 8. Crime, Trump plus 6. So obviously all of that is great. And you would figure all of these numbers would spit out Trump leading the popular vote by 3 or 4 points, but it's got Harris plus 4. I'd be interested to see if they have abortion. Obviously that's going to be Harris plus 15, plus 20 maybe, which could be making up some of this. But still, it is kind of interesting how you've got Harris plus 4 and then Trump leads in basically every issue outside of abortion. Again, I don't know if there is abortion on here, but either way, that is pretty crazy and kind of infuriating, but it is what it is. You do have CNN admitting that Trump was treated as like basically as he was the sitting president, because we really don't have a president right now. When he was on the ground in Georgia reacting to the hurricane, offering people relief, Kamala and Biden were back in D.C. desperately trying to act like they didn't botch the response. President Trump is clearly taking this seriously. And then, of course, liberals say, well, he's just doing it, for himself to try and go up. He's using a tragedy. And it's like there's no winning with these people. If Trump doesn't say anything, he's a devil. If he says something, he's just selfish and he's doing it for himself. So there's no winning. It's very clear that they did botch it. It's very clear that Biden was caught and the liberals were caught because Biden doesn't do anything. And so when something like this happens, they just weren't ready for it. And Trump's like, okay, if you're not going to do anything. And then they come out 2 days later and they say, oh, we're reacting to this. And then they gaslight Republicans and say, well, Trump just did it for, to get attention and to try and appear nice. Well, no, they didn't do anything for 3 straight days as the hurricane was actually happening. There was no statement. Biden was not interviewed. Why wasn't he interviewed? Why didn't he put out a statement? Why didn't he do a press release at the White House? It's because he wasn't at the White House. He was vacationing in Delaware for like the 90th straight day. And so that's just what happened. So, and they try and blame Trump. It's funny how that works. It's very sad. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.